We live in what often feels like a busy and noisy world, don't we? Schools can be especially noisy and busy places. There's always people rushing from lesson to lesson, rushing home to do homework or to see friends, rushing to after-school clubs or weekend activities. Sometimes it seems like we can hardly have time to draw breath. And if you're not rushing around, the chances are your teachers or parents or friends probably are. It was the same for Jesus. Everyone always wanted his attention as he travelled around Palestine, teaching and healing. And the disciples were always asking him questions. So Jesus often used to get up early in the morning and go up into the hills to spend some quiet time with God. This was so important to him that he even made time for it when he was at his most anxious and fearful, just before he was arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane. Probably the most famous occasion we're told about Jesus taking time to be quiet and pray is right at the very beginning of his public ministry. Just after he was baptized in the River Jordan, Jesus went to spend 40 days by himself in the desert to pray and reflect. And it was those 40 days that he spent with God that gave him the strength to resist the temptations of the devil and to face all the challenges that lay ahead of him. It's been my experience that taking time out to be quiet and still is just as important for us today, and it can help us feel stronger and calmer in times of difficulty. So I want to encourage you during this period of what the church calls Lent, from Ash Wednesday right through to Easter Day, instead of giving something up, which a lot of people do in Lent, that instead of that, you try taking some time out every day to spend quietly in reflection, whether you call yourself a Christian or not, simply to step aside from the noise and bustle of the world just for a few moments. You could try doing this outside, where you might be inspired by the beauty of creation, or maybe find somewhere warm and comfortable where you feel safe and happy. You don't need to say anything, just sit quietly, switch off your mobile, slow down your breathing, listen to the sounds that you can hear around you. If you want to pray, then you can, and you don't need lots of fancy words. Maybe just bring to mind and bring before God people or situations that you're worried about, or things that you're grateful for and you might want to say thank you for. I'm encouraging all the churches across Essex and East London in the Diocese of Chelmsford to model what I've just been talking about with you. We're calling it a holy sabbatical. And sabbatical comes from the original Jewish word for Sabbath, meaning a time of rest and refreshment and worship. It's a time for us all to slow down and recover from the trauma of the last 2 years, to spend time in quiet with God and gently to discern our way into the future. Lots of people over the centuries, ever since the time of Jesus, have spoken about how positive an experience it can be to have a daily time of quiet. It's a discipline that I try to take really seriously myself, and I'm inviting you to consider doing the same, during Lent at least. And I'm going to finish just with a few words from the Bible, from Psalm 62. For God alone my soul waits in silence, for my hope is from God. God alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall not be shaken.